Hi, my name is Mark Monlux, and this is another episode of Epic Sketch Time. Epic Sketch Time meets every Monday at 4:30 Pacific Standard Time. If you'd like to join our drawing group, there is a link down below in description, as well as a link to all the artists you'll be seeing here. Check out our stuff down below. I'm located inside Tacoma, Washington. Gentlemen, introduce who you are and where you're located.
I am Bill Morse. I'm located in Seattle, Washington, and a freelance illustrator and cartoonist. And I also do a webcomic called Rhapsodies.
Hi, I'm Locke. I'm located in Toronto, Canada. You can find me at Mad Monkey Love. So that's either madmonkeylove.com or at Mad Monkey Love using Twitter, Instagram, and so forth. Yeah, I'm freelance graphic artist and illustrator from Toronto. There you go. So, what have you guys been up to?
My friend, you go first, Bill.
I'm trying to keep busy. Had a nice weekend, which involved overeating at a sushi buffet and watching the Oscars.
This is the first time I think about 12 years that I haven't watched the Oscars. So I heard that there was a really good acceptance speech by the actress who got Best Actress.
Yeah, I didn't watch it, so I don't know what's going on.
Let's see. As far as movies go, I recently rewatched what could be considered Canucksploitation.
Do I want to know?
Well, you may not know this, Bill, but there are films that are filmed in Canada.
Yes, I understood that part, but
and some of them can be really very larkish, like that one
with the McKenzie brothers.
Oh no, far more larkish than that. That's high art compared to some of them. I'm talking about Yoga Hosers, for example.
I have never heard of that one.
Locke, can you enlighten Bill on Yoga Hosers, or do you not know about it?
No, I deny all knowledge of that.
Had a laugh at the very silly title, or you're more informed than you're caring to admit?
I can't believe that movie actually got made. Let's put it that way.
Yoga Hosers is about, I would say, these two girls work at a convenience store that has, how can I put this? These Nazi-possessed sausage attacking them, and they all look like little Kaisers from World War I rather than Nazis.
So are these well-done puppets or something that you would be doing playing cards for?
I mean, these are well done. I mean, the visual effects is like pretty fantastic. It's just it's a lot of tongue-in-cheek.
I saw a really nice one this weekend.
Go, you tell, Bill.
I saw Matter of Life and Death for the first time. And it is brilliant. Michael Howell kicks ass.
Can you tell us what year and what type of
1946 comedy drama.
Oh, fun.
And it's all about a fighter pilot whose plane is going down, and he's calling to anybody, and so he has, and all the people in the bomber plane are dead, so they have a desperation move of jumping out of the plane is better than dying in the fiery crash. And in the meantime, he's talking to this American radio officer, and in sort of a combination of him giving his, a combination of him being very confident about, oh, I'm going to die, but that's okay, et cetera, and her kind of trying to comfort him in the sort of course you're going to be all right, dear kind of way. But they both fall in love, and he jumps out of the plane. The
Spoilers, Bill.
Okay. Anyway, we switch to the afterlife where one of his dead co-pilot is waiting for him and getting very impatient. And the powers that be are very much wondering what the heck has happened, because they don't make mistakes. And it turns out that the pilot landed in the water and thus is not dead. But at the same time, since he's supposed to be, one of the angels comes looking, and so hence the name that he has to go on trial to defend his right to stay on Earth. And it's and now, Mr. Don't spoil the movie, I will shut up after that.
Yeah, I've seen it before, but it's been such a long time that I think I want to see it again.
I was very pleasantly surprised how good it is. I mean, the practical effects are amazing. There's a few of them that are where you know that something's simple, but you can't for the life figuring out just how they did it.
Now, the movie I watched was not Yoga Hosers.
Good. Well, we need to respect you, Mark.
Rather, it was actually a pretty good film that got both Siskel and Ebert gave it a thumbs up back in the day. Mm-hmm. It's a film called The Silent Partner. And it's about this bank teller who he catches on that there's going to be a bank robbery. So he preps for it so that when the bank robbery actually happens, he ends up stealing the money. And the would-be robber runs off with far less, guns a-blazing, yada yada. The robber is rather miffed about this, and it becomes this whole cat and mouse game afterwards about the robber trying to get his, all the various threats, etc., that the two are kind of trying to outwit each other with. And it came out in 1978.
Mm-hmm.
Has John Candy in it.
Oh.
I think it was his second film appearance. And it falls underneath Canadian exploitation in so much as there is a lot of nudity in this film.
Okay.
Especially for the 70s.
What, for John Candy nudity?
That is not exactly a recommendation there.
Oh, man, but that's not the kind of film I want to be watching.
Okay, I will say this. I hope it's not too much of a spoiler. There is no John Candy nudity. But if you did take a shot for every time you saw a boob, you'd get a warm buzz by the end of the movie. And some violence, fairly graphic. certainly not the nice material that you would expect from Canadians.
Well, I know that Canadians can do cynical. I very much enjoyed Made in Canada back when it was on.
Now, this is played pretty much as a straight noir.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually fairly good. I would give it a solid 7. And you see bits of this film kind of pop up later on. For example, it's no secret. It's on all the posters. A Santa Claus holds up the bank.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if any of you have watched Reindeer Games.
I have, and that was what I was thinking about immediately.
And let's see, another thing is it's a heist that happens at Christmas time.
Okay.
Think Die Hard.
Well, and Reindeer Games.
And Reindeer Games. Let's see, what's another thing that it kind of... Oh. At one point, he's using a toy lunchbox. And it's a Superman lunchbox. But Superman and this film were released at the same time. So it's an older Superman film. Older Superman lunchbox. And on top of that, the lead actress in this film is the actress who played Superman's mother, Lara, in the first Superman movie. So is it an Easter egg, or is it not an Easter egg, or is it just a coincidence?
I'm sure when they found out, they started using it in their marketing afterwards.
I don't think they did. But anyway, so that's one of the films I watched this weekend. Oh, and also my wife and I finished watching The Umbrella Academy.
Oh, good. That's on my to-do list. How's it hold up? Or were you familiar with the comic book before you watched it?
I didn't. I knew of the comic book, and I'd read a few pages while I was in a comic book store. I liked the style, but I had not read the storyline.
Mm-hmm.
So everything was new to me, as it were, inside the comic book. But it was a big topic of conversation at the Freelance Fandango this morning. How about you, Locke? Have you seen it?
I have it on Netflix thing, but I haven't gotten around to actually sit down. I read the comic book. It's called the something Oblivion, I think, or something like that. So I'm assuming that's the one they're talking about. But the comic book was okay. It wasn't, right?
Right.
I don't know. Can't really judge it until I actually sit down and watch it.
Yeah.
Right? Because some stuff will work in the comic book.
So
yeah.
So at risk of having you throw out any spoilers there, did they still have the talking chimp?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's part of the main narrative.
So is he CGI or good animatronics?
I saw it, and it looks like really good CGI.
Okay.
Actually, there was a couple scenes where they actually had a person in costume.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know that.
Well, when you're watching it next time, there's a scene where he's walking through the living room, but it's from the back of him, not showing his face.
Okay.
And so you can tell it's an actor, but only if you're really looking. Well, they did a pretty smooth job. I think that they went with practical where they knew they could get away with it.
Cool. And since we're talking about, even though I saw it last weekend, it's been I'll count it because it was since we met last. I also saw Alita.
I saw Alita. It was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. I was especially impressed by all the design work on the sets.
Well,
I don't know how much of those were actual sets or as much CGI as most of the figures were, but really nice. I mean, considering what one of my side projects involves a super post-future slum, and watching the movie almost made me feel like a plagiarist.
So if you guys look at my screen, can you guess what movie this space plane is from?
I'm not aware of any movies of lion people.
that's my screen you're seeing.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not screen sharing. I better fix that. Just a moment. Sorry about that. There we go. So what? I can almost guarantee that you guys have not seen this film.
Pretty sure I haven't.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's this wonderful mid-'80s atrocity called Metamorphosis. So,
and not the one involving cockroaches, I take it.
No. I want to see if I can actually pull up real quickly what this creature looks like, so you can see the fine cinematography that was done.
While we're talking on the different subjects, this is a Lion Man Your Own Invention, Locke. I'm not sure if I recognize him.
No, his name is called Oric. He's a character created by a group of artists up here. It's kind of like the Canadian, superhero kind of thing. It's called the Great White North, I think was the company. So he's Oric. Basically, he's kind of like a mutant.
Okay.
And becomes this lion, this hunter kind of thing. But it's more like a kid's book. But me, I'm just doing very what do you call it? Very dark. My interpretation of what the character would be like if that's all it is.
So the original version is very fluffy and
yeah, very cartoony, kind of kids friendly kind of stuff. It's published by Chapter House, the same company that created the Captain Canuck.
Okay, I was about to ask if that was because the title sounded fairly familiar.
Yeah, it is. I did a variant cover for them for a special edition kind of stuff. And what I'm doing is I'm just kind of like doing fan art kind of thing for them, for the creator. And I'm doing this little thing where I'm just, I released the black and white inked on the internet there for them to, if anybody wants to try their hand on coloring.
So if you were to look up Metamorphosis Alien Factor, let's see. Oh, that didn't come down. Just a moment. Did I lose that? You come across this little gem on Google.
Oh dear.
Yeah, he's a wonderful.
It kind of looks like which a Beetlejuice thing, the sandworm thing.
Yes, yes, it
Kind
does.
of, yeah, kind of does. Oh, look, there's some other artist interpretations here.
Or from the movie The Thing, John Carpenter.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a ripoff of everybody out there, I think. So I'm going to be making this head all red and the body all pink. What are you working on today, Bill?
This is the continuing for this comic page I've been playing around with for having comic work on my portfolio called Alice's Testimony, which is essentially a slightly modernized version of the scene from Alice in Wonderland. I did a pen and ink version for the Dune, this indie group that I attend called Dune a couple of months ago, and so I thought a cleaned up version might be effective, and it's giving me a good chance to keep practicing on Clip Studio Paint.
So last weekend I had the rare pleasure of being over at Brian Bassett's house. He's the person who did Adam and Adam at Home, a syndicated cartoon strip. And I was there because the National Cartoon Society was voting on the various Reuben nominees. So that was a lot of fun. His wife, Bonnie, puts out a very nice spread. I think I mentioned that. But one of the things he has in way of a collection, he has some nice built-in cabinets down in the studio. Oh, by the way, he's got artwork from all the famous cartoonists in his studios hanging up on frames because they all know each other, and just wonderful stuff to look at. But he has these built-in cabinets, and much like I collect wind-up pin robots, he has this very large collection of toy ray guns.
Oh, cool!
That's cool.
Yeah, it was very fun collection, and a bronze of a dog squatting and taking a poo. And I think he might have inherited that from his granddad. It looks fairly old. But it's not the type of bronze you would normally. It's not it's done in that Western style that's fairly famous. I'm trying to think of who that sculptor is.
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about. The Seattle Art Museum has one of his pieces. Normally does cow pokes and Indians.
Yes, so imagine something along the line of a Labrador, I think, would be not a golden retriever, like a Weimaraner, but with a long tail. Anyway, it was also quite funny. It could have also been a Springer Spaniel, but kind of that type of look. And it looked really nice on its desk. Posture and everything. So. Now, I happen to have a number of sculptures in my office. Now, as I look around, I'm trying to think of what I'm going to hold one up to the camera. This was done by an artist.
Got to turn off the screen share, Mark.
Oh, I'm just describing it.
Okay.
This artist does. You're familiar with the Cabbage Patch Kids?
Yeah.
Well, this guy does Garbage Pail Kids. It's a parody.
Oh, I remember those.
Okay. And so he does those cards for Topps, and he created this gorgeous little sculpture of the creature of the Black Lagoon in that style. I'm very pleased with him. And I couldn't believe how, for some reason, these don't sell for him. And I picked this guy up for like $35.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't buy him for $35? So that's one of my favorite sculptures. I was kind of curious. Do you guys have any sculptures in your office?
Yeah, a few. I have a Dragon Rider teapot that I got at Norwestcon years ago, and then it's not like a. Then I kind of collect foxes, though I don't have many. Oh, right. Kind of collect foxes.
I'm still seeing your screen, Bill. Okay, now I see you.
Yeah, and kind of collect foxes. And then I have this. And then I have this little lion paperweight that I got that was kicking around the house back home. Never got it around to translating the Latin.
That's quite nice.
And of course, I have a Marvin the Martian cookie jar that I keep my receipts in.
Well, Bill, you know not to say cookie jars. Because I've got, let me see, in my office alone, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 cookie jars.
So the white elephants haven't been working out.
Well, no, it's, pardon me, 14. I missed one. Now, these are, you can only give away so many, but then the ones that you really cherished are hard to get rid of. But I'm down from my body count of, at one point I had nearly 100. And they're still scattered throughout the house. But
100 cookie jars?
I was not an avid collector. Avid collectors have, people don't take you seriously with cookie jars unless you have like about 400 or more.
Ooh. I did not know that people collect the cookie jars to begin with.
I even have several books on collecting cookie jars featuring various cookie jars throughout the ages. This is all, mind you, before the internet really started taking off. But there are, if you ever see a cookie jar in a TV or a movie, there's this gal in California who is known to have the world's largest cookie jar collection. I think she has somewhere between 2,000 and 4,000. And what she'll do is she will rent a cookie jar to a specific show. Like I remember that in each one of the Friends apartment when the show Friends was on, one of those cookie jars turned out to be a cookie jar that had cookies all over it, which I ended up selling at one of our events. I think Obadiah Heavner ended up buying it, and it turned out to be an extremely valuable cookie jar after the fact.
Isn't that always the case?
It is always the case. But Another one of their cookie jars on that show was a cookie jar that looked like a clock, and that was pretty. That was a McCoy Happy Time cookie jar. So yeah, don't get me started on cookie jars. I've tried to live that mania down, and I went through a phase. Just say that my wife is very glad that I'm out of it now.
Uh-huh.
I thought collecting comics was my bad habits, but okay.
It's 5 o'clock.
Are comics the only thing you collect, Locke?
No, I got other stuff, but right now I have little ones, and if I put out any Funko toys or any of my collectible statues or figurines or whatever you want to call them, they're pretty much wrecked. You just have these Marvel cards.
Yeah.
And those one where I think in the 90s or early 90s, Marvel had these little cards, kind of like baseball cards with gold foils and stuff like that. Well, I found all my gold foils and got Sharpies and color stuff all over it, and it's kind of nice. A little touch from a 5-year-old or something. So those things are filed away. I just found you know who George Perez is?
Yes.
He's retiring from comic this year.
Yeah.
So I'll be tabling with him this summer.
Oh, that is awesome.
Well, not next to him, but across from him or near him somehow. And I found the Wonder Woman #1 that I bought for $1, and I forget, like 87 or something like that. And like a bunch of Wonder Woman, the Infinity Gauntlet one that he did.
Yeah.
The very, I don't know, I forget, like 1991 maybe.
Yes.
I found those and I opened it up. And it's like, oh my God, these things are printed on newsprint. I forgot how.
I thought that was that newsprint? I thought it was one of the better.
No. These, let me see. Let me find it. Yeah. Let me see if I can turn off some sharing. Go.
Yeah, cool. I know I have a copy of mine kicking around somewhere.
So ooh, I don't want to wreck the edges.
No, heaven forbid.
But because I'm going to be sitting near him, I'm just going to run over and get him to sign it. But if you look carefully, I mean, it's, very old, flimsy paper. This is not the glossy stuff that we get nowadays. Mm-hmm. Right? So I don't know if you can see that.
Back before gimmicks didn't go rule the
world. I mean, let's see. It looks like it's faded, but this is how it was printed. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot how like you can see that it. There you go. That's just like, that's how they colored it, right? It was just like 2-3 shades of colors.
Mm-hmm. Oh, actually, with something like that, you'd probably best that they did it that way. Technology aside, it would probably distract from the Thanos' awesome.
Yeah, I mean, take a look at how blurry Spider-Man that is.
Oh, yeah. And,
that is the color back then, right? That's when they colored it.
And it looks like he cheated and used a high contrast photocopy of Manhattan there.
Yeah, exactly. And then that's.
I know Perez, being very good at the architecture, rarely does it. I mean, the worst offender for using photocopies is John Byrne, I've found. Though occasionally Kirby would use some of his background cosmic scenes were actually were actually pollen in a electron microscope.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know I had this.
Oh wow!
Number one, right? Or it cost me $1.
Oh,
I'm afraid to open it.
yeah. That is my favorite. I think that's my favorite of his.
That was the this is when they rebooted Wonder Woman. They
Yes.
got rid of the high heel. This is where the uniforms and
that back. For me, his absolute best work is Crisis.
yeah. So that's what then I thought, oh my god, I found Ninja Turtle #1.
That's great.
Right? And I'm like, I looked it up and it's like, what? Some people were paying like $37,000 for it. And I was like, oh, what? Then I pulled it open. And sure enough, it is the 5th printing.
Oh,
It's probably like $30 or something like that, I think.
did you get excited?
Well, because I remember I had a Ninja Turtle and you can, like that. And you got to check out the paper. I forgot how like cheap the paper is. Again, it's newspaper paper. Right?
Right.
Because I was going to actually, next time when I'm near Kevin Eastman, when he's doing a con or something, I'll get it signed and I'll get it graded and I'll send it off and lock it away and hand it off to my girls. And if they need money for college or something like that. Yeah. Finding all these old stuff. I'm like, oh my God. Oh, here's something. I don't even know what this is worth anymore.
Oh, wow. I'm aware of it, but you don't see many copies of that kicking around.
I don't know if it's anything at all. I mean, when they made comics of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, and back when they gave a damn about them rather than handing it to whatever newbie hack would take the contract.
Exactly.
Kevich did the version of Dune, for crying out loud.
Yeah, I think I have that somewhere. I just got to look for it.
I don't know what I did with it, but it's long gone now. But I had the Star Wars comic that you could see at the theater when you went to see the movie.
Is
Oh,
that
yeah.
what Chadwick did?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
But, it was, considered disposable. It was just, it got totally dog-eared and beat up and probably got stuck with a lot of other things.
I think at the moment, even though it probably is an example of what we're talking about, my favorite movie adaptation is Mike Mignola's Dracula.
Yeah, I want to get the, I guess they call it the library edition. IDW usually publish that.
Oh, nice.
So
I don't think what I have would be considered a library edition, but it's a collection of them.
Now I have in my closet one of my my uncle and my aunt divorced, and it was not a very pleasant divorce between the two of them. And my uncle left behind a bunch of stuff, and my aunt says, "I got a whole box of these graphic novels that your uncle, and they're from the '80s." And I'm thinking, graphic novels? What's she talking about? And it turns out that they're the first 5 years of heavy metal.
Nice.
Yeah, but the only one that's really worth anything, it's not even worth that much, is the first edition of heavy metal might be worth $25.
Oh yeah. If you don't want it, just send it my way. I'm take it off your hand, no problem. Right? I'm sure it's not worth that much at all. Just I'll just pay for the mailing. How's that? I tried. I really did try.
Make me an offer, Locke. I'm trying to downsize,
Yeah, I might get what's happening is this weekend for me, I will be at a children's hospital.
Mhm.
There's it's called the Holland Blur Group, and it's a rehabilitation hospital for kids.
Mhm.
And I'm doing sketches. So if anybody's listening, I will be there on Sunday doing sketches for Pledge. So I'm going to bring my Copic and all the stuff. Do a lot of 4x6 for a lot of the sketches. Are probably like superheroes and stuff like that for the kids. But if any adults or any fan that want to show up, the money all goes directly to the hospital. So good cause. Just want to push that out.
Oh, I have something to show everybody. So Sticker Mule was offering to do coasters.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Did you get some, Deb? I got to see this.
I got some coasters down there. I'm digging in my bag here. So you know that a while ago I did some Tarman illustration for Return of the Living Dead poster. Okay, where did I put those? I have them out for show and tell for another group. There we go. And I had the artwork just lying around because I did some stickers through a Sticker Mule not so long ago. Okay. Oh, I need to stop presenting. So I was kind of curious how these would come out since they're on matte paper.
Ooh.
Test. So.
Is that just one side?
Yeah, it's just one side.
Okay.
But
That's the same stuff they give out to us when they say thank you, right? When you order stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
And they're wanting to do some coasters, so I thought, you know what? I'll give it a shot. It's on a matte surface, not a gloss.
Right.
And
did you have to lighten up your drawing a little bit, or did you just send them the digital?
I don't bother with fancy stuff like that.
Right.
It actually came out pretty good. I didn't lighten it up. The saturation went pretty well. I'm pretty happy with it. I had already created it as a warm black on the background, so that came out really well. I think because it was a warm black, I think I had like at least 20, if not 30% of the colors, and then the cyan. So I'll see. I'm going to try selling those for. I'll go for 4 for 10 and 12 for 20, and see how well that rolls. Because while it might have been a deal when they did it, if those things sell, I want to be able to sell them at the maximum price, so I can have them printed when they're not on special.
Right.
But I figured, hey, $20 for 50, that was a pretty good deal. So, Bill.
Yes.
Is your photo of you hanging out with the apes still your highest hit picture on Instagram?
Well, as I said the last time we spoke on it, it's the second highest. The first highest is the one with the cosplaying, one of my comic characters cosplaying as Brienne of Tarth. But it's what is it now? It is right up. It is currently up to. But as far as the business account, as far as the business account is concerned, it is. So at the moment it's at 245, which is 46.
245 likes.
245 reaches. 46 likes. But for everybody who is interested, I went to the zoo last week to test a theory about how well just sitting around quietly would improve the quality of my models cooperating, and it for the most part worked pretty well. But just a second. So anyway, the baby of the group, Yola, came up and took a look to see what I was doing, and somebody offered to take my camera and got this one.
Oh yeah, I saw that on Facebook.
Cool. Everybody feel free to give it a like. I'm very happy with it. I'm halfway tempted to turn it into a Christmas card. And I had several other choices, but none of the others had any of that cool eye contact, as you can see. Though that one's kind of cute. But yeah, at the moment, it definitely counts as one of my most successful Instagram posts.
Now, look, do you do much posting on Instagram?
I post almost every few seconds.
Now,
I'm posting right now.
do you have a business Instagram so you can track the?
No, I'm just I usually post like my process, my work, and all that stuff. And at first it was hit and miss. Then now I'm just getting a lot of traction.
Well,
I'm trying to move a lot of the Google Plus people over too. So
it costs absolutely nothing to get the business version.
Right.
All you have to do is change your settings, and then what that allows you to do is access your analytics.
Right.
It'll tell you everything. I did an Instagram post earlier this month about it was a session that Bill and I attended through the Graphic Artists Guild called Instagram for Graphic Artists.
Right.
And there's a link there that they'll take you to a little how-to thing on how to set up your.
Yeah, I saw that on Instagram. They try to always make me convert over, but right now I'm just trying to figure it out first and see what happens.
Oh, but dude, all you have to do is just hit a button, and then you'll get all these analytics will help you figure it out so much faster.
All right.
And the thing is, the analytics aren't retroactive, so you have to, once you're in, then you'll start tracking. So it takes a couple of weeks before they can start giving you the
information. I'm sure. Dude.
So tonight, my wife and I are going to be having some Indian food.
Ah,
nice.
There's a nice takeout place. Stopped by there earlier today. We usually go out to eat on Monday. So my wife doesn't like to cook on Monday. So
I will be going to Big Time because there's a event by the University District Small Business Bureau to try and preserve the University District as we know it, and there because a lot of the corporations are trying to redo a lot of the zoning rules, which will screw over anybody who rents in the area.
So what is Big Time, Bill?
Big Time is one of the oldest brew pubs in Seattle. And for anybody who likes good beer, it is, and are in Seattle, it is definitely going. It has a wonderful homey quality to it, so a lot of the university crowd hangs there, and it has a very good selection of IPAs.
These are craft beer, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or as we like to call it out here, beer.
I'm not a drinker myself. How about you, Locke?
I love it, but right now I'm on, because I had my gallbladder removed, I'm on a restrict diet for another 2 weeks before I can start consuming alcohol.
Bummer.
Do you have any other dietary restraints?
Like I'm lactose to begin with, but so far I've been really lucky. I just had a lasagna today and nothing. I'm like, oh, maybe that's what was causing my problem.
Oh, really? So you're wondering if maybe it's the gallbladder and not lactose?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It could just be me right now, right? So.
Yeah, because
it's a hit and miss. So yeah, you know. When I was living in Costa Mesa, I had no problem with the milk or any of that stuff. I moved back to Canada, and it's you know, issues with it. So yeah, I don't know.
Well, a lot of countries, like say in France, they don't pasteurize their cheese.
Right.
Which is why you can't get French cheese in the United States. All the food, most dairy products have to go through pasteurization in the States. I'm wondering if Canada does the same thing, and maybe it's the pasteurization process.
Could be. Because I know when I was a kid, I had no problem drinking milk and all the other stuff, but you know. Yeah, I when I moved back from the States, moved to Toronto, I started, maybe it developed over time. I don't really know. I don't know what it is.
Could be a water thing. I mean, that frequently.
I think it's more like what you call it, Bill said, right? Or that it could be just the way they process stuff, right? Like the pasteurization or something like that. I don't know. It's hard to, you know, can't put a finger on it. So.
I know that you went in 1 week and you were being seen about your gallbladder, and then it seemed like suddenly, bam, you were in the hospital again. So,
yeah, I was the first I guess day that I went in was it was my gallbladder that was inflamed, and I was taking antibiotics, and I was, you know, drinking alcohol, and you know, having a grand old time, and it inflamed, literally inflamed, and that caused all the problem. And I was hospitalized for a whole day because they had to make sure, because they thought I was having a heart attack or something like that. So they had to make sure that my blood alcohol and all that stuff was, you know, So I spent a whole day of just like, on what you call IV drips and trying to flush everything out so they can actually do a proper blood test, right?
Right.
So that's all it was, and they found out it was just an inflamed gallbladder, and they gave me anti-inflammatory, and they sent me home. And that worked for 3 or 4 days. Then again, I started passing stones. So that's what hurt it the most. Then I just wait around for them to what you call it, for myself to book a day to actually get the stone removed, or my gallbladder removed. And because I was low priority, I got pushed a lot because the surgeon that was doing this stuff was some sort of vascular surgeon.
Right.
So he was on a big demand for heart attacks and other stuff. So for me, it was just an hour like operation, right? It was a day op. That's all it is. I just went in early one morning and I waited, and I got pushed, and eventually said, yeah, go home, here's some painkillers and stuff. Just come back another day because we need the bed for whoever, higher priority, because we go through a triage system, right?
Right.
So that's all it was. And then, eventually by the time I got around to it was Friday. And by that time was around 1 o'clock. I was like, literally, they put me on the table and they said, breathe this in. And I remember taking 2 breaths and I was gone, right? Like the movies, everything goes black.
Right.
Then all of a sudden, literally, I just like that black just went away, and I didn't know it was an hour later, right? And I was sitting up and groggy and the whole bit. And they sent me home after a couple hours of observation. They said, you're fine, right? And here's the dietary requirement, right? He gave me a list what not to eat and all the other stuff. And it took me about a week to recover from the surgery itself. It's, what do they call those things where they put a little slice and they put those cameras and the probes into your gut kind of thing?
Oscilloscope?
Yeah, or something like that, Then they slice where my belly button was just to pull up the gallbladder on that end. So I had like 3 holes in my gut, right? What hurt the most was because, they have to go through your stomach muscle.
Ooh.
Or your abdomen, or, your muscle, right? Because everything's in there, right? So that's what hurt the most, right? Because they're wiggling around.
Yeah, it's like, having a hernia. I understand that can be very painful feeling.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it hurt. It hurt. I mean, it really, really hurt. So, yeah. Let's see. Look at that. March 7th. Google's going to disappear. Google Plus.
Google Plus is disappearing on March 7th?
I think so.
Yeah, I keep getting messages that on my web page, which had a Google Plus button, saying it doesn't work anymore, but I haven't figured out how to remove the button.
I'm a little worried about this the drawing session of ours, considering that it uses Google Hangouts.
Google Hangout will still be around. It's the Google Plus portion that's
okay. So, no worries then.
Yeah, the social media portion of the Plus is pretty much going away. Yeah, I'm trying to move all my followers. So every post, every day, I'm putting my Instagram, my Facebook, my Twitter, and all that stuff. Says, hey, I'm over here, I'm over here, I'm over here, because I'm down to 70,000 followers. So, it took me years to build that many. So.
Yeah, I'm going over to Google Plus right now to just see how it's been so long since I've been over there.
Right.
And when they, about a year ago, I stopped being active over.
Right.
So let's see what we have.
Most people too, when they did all the UI changes and stuff like that, it became difficult for a creator like myself to post stuff.
Let's see.
The eyes.
How do you here's my Google account. How I access my Google Plus account? You go to like Google Plus, or oh my god, it's been so long.
Yeah, that's pretty much about it. You go to your Google Plus. Just like plus dot. So type in plus.google.com.
There we go. Let's see. Your Google Plus account is going away April 2nd.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's good to know. Let's see. Oh, I only have 348 followers. That's stinky. Well, you've been watching another episode of Epic Sketch Time. It is 5:30. If you've enjoyed our gap session here, please feel free to go to the link below and sign up for Epic Sketch Time. We meet every Monday at 4:30 Pacific Standard Time. That's a day behind if you're in the Asian countries, and it would be basically when we start, it's about 8 o'clock in the morning, I think, in South Korea the next day. So it would be Tuesday morning at 8.
Usually add 12 hours to whatever it is.
Yeah, it's either 12 or 16 hours tomorrow. So,
Yeah.
And we'll see you all next week. Thank you, Locke. Thank you, Bill.
Okay.
All right, Bill. Bye, guys.